My name's Shane Flemons. Check out the first book. If you like this one, there's a second one that goes along with this. When I wrote this book, I honestly intended to try to help a kid stay out of prison. Some of the slogans are from murderers and serial killers that actually allowed me to write stories about them and their crimes. Some of it's cold cases, and I even talked to a hitman. And his first murder was in Seattle. He was on the highway. He got away with it. And he was in Alaska prison system, and that he told me that he knew he had it in him after that. But he told me specifically that he hopes that kids will learn from his message. And so when I actually wrote the book, I was trying to hit the gentlemen that are in for life. It's called lifers. They'll never get out of prison. And a lot of them gave positive, testimonial information to help for you not to do the same mistakes. I never, ever would think that going to Alaska, going fishing, I would end up doing almost a decade behind bars. A fight broke out on the boat. There was more to the story than just what they said. The judge in court records say, I'm going to make an example out of you, and he gave me an extended sentence. So I get to Anchorage, and I start asking me all these good questions that I've never heard before in my life. Are you trying to hurt somebody? Are you suicidal? And I'm like, why are you asking me this? He said, do you want to hurt yourself? And I go, no. Do you want to do this? And I answered a question that was wrong, I guess. Next thing you know, I'm in a cell naked with smock, which I didn't know what a smock was that day. When I first went in, they handed me paperwork, and I was looking at 240 years. I cried. And I tried to call my mom, my brother, my sister. All my phone numbers were blocked. So I finally got a couple letters, probably 2 weeks into it. I was in a little tiny holding cell with a camera. I didn't have any contact with the outside world except for my attorney. The statistics show that I was going to fail when I walked into those doors. Once the person gets arrested, you want that person to learn from their mistakes. Well, it's not designed that way. It's a true story. So you can obviously look up my case. They claim I did this for no reason. And the judge knew the victim's dad. In the United States, it's illegal for this to happen, but I'm not mad about it. I was sad that I missed all my kids' birthdays and school years, and I was pretty devastated about that. But at the same time, as you know now, I've written a book. I've written my second book, made Amazon's Top 100 the first one, Amazon's Top 32 the second one. It's one of those stories where the gentleman goes to prison and works his tail off to become a better person and learns a lot more than what he expected to. Each person has to want that. You have to try. If I was an inmate back in the day and I read that book, I would only change it if I truly wanted to make a difference in my own life. Judges go through it every day. The guy is looking at 10 years and you're begging the judge, sir, I'll never do it again if you give me 8 years. If I'm wanting to change, I can learn a lot from that book. Matter of fact, anybody that has been arrested and or has dealt with that type of stuff can learn from it. It's you talking. It was our stories. It was our hurt that our families are missing Christmases and birthdays. I'd been in for 2.5 years, and I'd only talked to my son one time, and I couldn't talk to him. He was 6. And before I left, I told him I was going to be gone 13 weeks. This is my last trip to Alaska to go fishing. And he's like, Dad, please don't go. And we were 2 peas in a pod. Baseball, he was the best at baseball, football. We was kindergarten. We were just little buddies, And he's like, Dad, please don't go. I was like, I promise I'll be back in 13 weeks. So 2.5 years into it, I finally get to talk to him the first time. And so he was 8-ish, 8.5, almost 9. And he's like, Dad, 13 weeks is a long time. So I broke down, and I still had years to go at this time. He didn't know where I was at. So anyways, I broke down, and I was in the faith-based program, and I went and prayed and prayed and prayed and cried. And that was the worst experience I ever had. I'm in the Gladiator mod. They did a shakedown. They put me in the worst tank, Gladiator mod, murderers, serial killers, and there's no death row in Alaska. So you're with Butcher Bob Baker, which they did a movie when I was in with him, and some of the notorious gang members, Righteous and Sloan, all those guys that are up there. And so I'm in there, and the lifers get a hit on a guy. Things change after that, though. They try to keep you away from that stuff. It's scary. You can't just call mom and dad when you want to. I know you think you're big and tough. It's a whole other ballgame when you're in there. There's guys bigger and badder than you, and they're running stuff, and you got to go to them for just like your mom and dad. It's better to ask your mom and dad than some other man. They don't love you. You're a number. You're a statistic unless you can break through. Peer pressure is huge. It's super huge. I started teaching inmates math and science, and they started excelling more than any other time in the history of the prison, which I got word from some of the staff. They're like, Shane, we've never seen that. But guys were showing up, getting their GPs. We were getting